Great day, everyone. Paul Lawrence Van here, and I hope that you are doing great today. And today I'm going to provide another video that talks about leadership. And this time I'm going to talk about managers. As you all well know, that I talk about the fact that they're the three-legged stool. One is the manager, one is the employee, and one is the leader with the title. And yet all three are leaders in their own respective way, in their own respective roles. So what I'm going to talk about today is why leadership coaching is very important, especially for managers, because managers are at the center of the chain on that three-legged stool. In other words, they've been hired by the leader to manage the employees. And again, they do not have the title as the ultimate leader within an organization or a company. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I hope that you glean as much as you can from this, primarily because it's going to really be a great benefit for you. So one of the first things that I'm going to talk about is the build resilience to handle tough times. We know all too often what the last couple of years have been like. They've been devastating. It's been very impactful. Many of us have lost family members, friends, colleagues, you name it. And so we have to build up our resilience in order to be able to cope with what has taken place around us. And it's no different in the workplace and in the workforce itself. And so it's very important to understand that we need to get leaders to provide training and coaching for the managers so that they can do a better job of taking care of the employees, because all three are an asset to the organization. But without employees, you really don't need a manager and you don't need a leader. So the employees are all important as a part of the cog in the wheel, if you will. So let's talk a little bit about what this entails. First of all, there's some expectations that people have of a manager. And a lot of times those expectations is that they will set the table. They would take direction from the leader and title, and then they would take the vision and they would take the mission of the organization, and they will talk to the employees about how they plan to accomplish it. So you have to have an empowered manager to do this. And without the leadership's support of them, it really doesn't work. So the leader is crucial, and maybe coming into a meeting just to say, hey, Michael, he's going to come in, or Michelle, she's going to come in and she's going to provide you with the foundation of what we're trying to achieve for our vision and our mission for our organization. And you also have to understand they have to build agile, high-performing teams. And in order to do that, you need a manager to carry that through. And so it's very important to have resilience, especially during tough times. And different things such as coaches will help managers to develop their own cognitive agility, if you will, and then emotional regulation, self-compassion, optimism, and self-efficacy to help build resilience. These things all play a great role in a manager doing what they do best. And once they learn this and they're coached to do this, it's going to make their job even more powerful, more dynamic, and they will be able to put more influence into the daily work life of the employees. And when you improve in those areas, it shows that individuals that with the qualities are better able to tolerate stress, because that's in essence what we're talking about. And people may walk around and they want to tough it out. They want to grind it out, the type of words they use, but people are human. You and I are human, and we have our limits. And so we need to understand that we don't want to burn anyone out, especially not the manager, because in the absence of the manager, oftentimes a lot of things don't get done. And so it may be left up to the leader with the title, and the leader with the title is not interested in managing, they're interested in leading. And so it's better to have that manager coached and in a good space. And when it comes to the cognitive agility, people in the top 25% of cognitive agility are 6.3% times more likely to be in the top 50% of resilience. And that's the bounce back ability. And that is the ability to cope with a lot of stress, a lot of things coming at you at one time. And for anyone, no matter what the industry is, it can have an effect on them. And it's also important to understand there's awareness of the thoughts is essential to develop cognitive ability, agility rather, and resilience. And one of the things, I'm a mindfulness coach, and through mindfulness practice, managers can change their perspective about a negative situation and then work to put those thoughts to the side and be able to move through or push through to help them develop their cognitive agility and resilience. But it's not a good thing if we overlook the fact that a person is overwhelmed, and oftentimes this leads to nothing good, and we want to make sure that we pay attention to it. Now, the next thing to consider for when it comes to leadership for managers, and I'm focused on managers because they're really the central point for an organization, is for them to develop strategic management skills. Because overall, what this is going to do is going to contribute to the big picture of the organization. And for the individual supervisor, they have to decide what they want to be. For example, if they want to set some goals and how they're going to approach different strategies to getting things done and why. And some managers approach strategy from the inside out based on your organization's strengths and competitive edge. And one of the things that we always want to do is, and life forces us to make a decision. It's for you, it's for me. And we may not have known it at the time when life was asking us to do this. So we have to decide where you want to be and what you want to be. And then we have to look at how do we gather more perspective, maybe looking at a different point of view as we move forward. And one of the things to do is reach out to other managers to gather a different perspective of what's taking place within the organization. In other words, a manager may typically just think of their own organizations, but there are also other organizations within the company that are doing different things. It's just that the focus area might be different. It might be HR versus finance versus logistics versus sales versus marketing. So you want to reach out and talk to some of these other managers and get their perspective on things to see how it's going. But in the end, it's all about developing strategic management skills that will contribute to the organization as a whole. And then the next step you take is looking at how do you implement it and ensure that action is aligned with the strategy. And so you can catch it quickly if anything goes off course. And we all know at times things go off course. We don't plan for it, but it happens, and it happens every day. And we have to be cognizant of it. And I can recall when I was working at UPS, and we would have a situation where a truck is backed into the company, into the hub or the center where the packages are brought, and they unload the wrong products. What does this mean? What this means is that you're going to double your workload. You're going to have to double your output. You'll get paid for it, but you didn't plan on doing this extra work. And that's just one example how things can go wrong. So we have to ensure that the proper truck has backed up to the hub for the parcels to come through. Then if the person is unloading them, are they aware that these are the wrong products? And once it gets on a conveyor belt and is going to another truck that's going to take it to another destination in the state or outside the state, then that just throws everything behind, and we don't need that. So implementation is very important. And then we always want to monitor and revise things. We kind of take a look at how things are right now and how can we make some changes. They don't have to be big changes. They can be, the better they are from a simplicity standpoint, the better, because that way people be less confused. But it happens, and it happens in so many ways, and we just have to ensure it. But again, For coaching a manager who's in a strategic position, you want to develop their strategic management skills to contribute to the big picture. And I want the employees to really pay attention to this, because in the end, it impacts you. So whatever decision is made at the top of the organization, it makes it to the middle person, man or woman, who's in the management position, and it comes down to you as the employee. But through leadership coaching, managers can communicate the strategy effectively, and there are no bumps along the way. And we want to find solutions to support the teams through the implementation process. So that's always good, and something that we all have to look at. The next thing is all about you, employees. The manager is to empower employees to be their best. Now, how can they do that? They can do that, first of all, by understanding what the objective of the organization is, what is the vision, and what is the mission. And they're going to impart this to you and pass this on to you so that you will be on the same sheet of music, if you will. And so one of the things to look at is when people have low trust, the company has to be low trust. People at high trust company report 74% less stress, 100% more energy at work, and 50% higher productivity. And in the end, that's what it's really all about. It's all about that business performance that I've mentioned in previous videos. And people be more satisfied with their lives, and there'll be less burnout if you empower employees to be their best. And everybody wants to do their best. So the initiative that one should take as a manager is to ensure that you take care of your employees, because if you take care of them, they'll take care of you. And then you want to look at rethinking accountability. And this is very important, because as a manager, your wins are closely tied with that of your team. You can't win without the employees. That's why I said the manager is in the middle person, if you will, and the employees are actually getting work done. And they're doing it at the behest of the leader with the title. And as a result, we want to look at accountability so everyone can win. And leadership coaching teaches how to share the weight of accountability with your team. And that way, no one is overburdened, overwhelmed, feel as if they're the only one doing the work. We've all been there. I know I've been there. I'm pretty sure those of you who are listening have been, some of you have also been there as well. And it also goes out for the manager and the leader that if you're looking at having employees for the long runs, you cannot afford to burn them out. You cannot afford to not treat them with dignity and respect. You cannot afford to lose talented employees. You just can't. Neither talented managers. So you have to really rethink that. And employees, they want to be more productive when they feel ownership over a project. And as I had mentioned before, that I was on a project that Intel decided on who a contractor would be for a system for the Air Force. And I took out 12 contractors with me, and we went to a contractor's plant, and they all had different specialties to help us to be able to evaluate, could this prospective company and contractor develop this within the schedule, within the budget? Do they have the proper number of people assigned to get the work done? It's more so engineers, logisticians, and then actual plant employees, those who are building the system for the United States Air Force. And then will they be able to turn around that data to us so we can continue to evaluate the program and project over the life cycle of it? And so there's a lot of things to take into account, but we had to make a decision, we meaning the people I took out, and I had to report it to the leader with the title, who was a 2-star general, and I was a captain, but I was a captain with a lot of responsibility. And so when we came back with the report and we could not see the prospective contractor being able to deliver the product for us and the service for us, then we had to pass that information on to the general, and he passed that information on to the people at the Pentagon, and they decided not to go forward with a $3.3 billion acquisition program. And so accountability is all up and down the line. And then you want to align the employees to the company goals. Now, this to me is one of the most important things, because if you have an employee who really doesn't know what their role is and the significance of it, and every employee is significant because they're bringing some gifts, some talent, some knowledge, and abilities to the forefront, and they're going to deliver for you, whether it's a computer expert, whether it's a financial expert, whether it's a logistician, you name it. People bring very good talent, so you want to make sure that they understand what their goal. By you doing X, it's going to result in Y. That's kind of how we want to look at it. If you can't do your job, then we won't be able to accomplish our objective, our mission. And so it's very important that you need to communicate that directly and then have them understand their role in the company and why their work matters is very, very important. And then we have to be mindful that sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, and you have to be conscious of your thoughts and show respect and dignity to others who deserve it. And by doing so, we don't want to be a type of environment where it's dictatorial, whereas you're demanding this, you're in someone's face, you're doing it in front of the co-workers, sometime other managers. That's not a good direction to take. Not in the military, so it should not be at a company either, even though I know it happens. I've seen it happen. So that's another thing to take into consideration. And then the other thing to consider is to improve the focus to get work done through disruptions. There are always going to be disruptions. There are always going to be things that were not planned, and you have to be able to work around it. And focus oftentimes is not very easy, but what you want to do is you want to remove distractions. And I know employees like this more than anything. A distraction could be that perhaps someone isn't pulling their weight, and you may have to just have a little short empowerment, a little motivational session with the employee on a particular part of the workplace, and let them know, hey, we need you to speed it up a little bit, and we want to stay on point, we want to stay on track, on schedule. And typically people understand that. And then later on, we have to figure out what they were going through, because we never know what people are going through. Maybe someone may have a loved one who's sick in the hospital. Maybe they're sick, or maybe they were expecting something to come in the mail that didn't arrive. Could be possibly going to a university, or going to get an advanced degree. It's just a lot of different things that can happen, and it can distract people. And then you also want to have and take active breaks. And I think this is very important because, again, we're just human. And since we're just human, we can't just do it all. We're not machines, even though people are saying machines are going to take over. I don't really think so, okay? That's just me. But you want to take some active breaks and just be real with people. And then you want to set time-related boundaries. In other words, you don't want so many meetings that it takes up the time for productivity, but you want to have some, what we would call constructive meetings, just short, brief, 1 or 2 minutes. Hey, how's it going? Is there anything you need so I can help you to get your work done? I'm talking to the team in terms of getting things going and making sure everyone is coordinating with everyone else. And then stop working at the end of the day. A lot of times it's nice to see that people work overtime, but if we can get that time done within the work hours, if it's 8 to 10 hours, then we get it done. And this research shows that in an average 8-hour workday, people only really work 2.9 hours per day. Whew. That seems a little high to me. that is high in the standpoint of not the part not working. So basically, out of the 8 hours, we're only working 5, right? So we have 5 hours we're not working. We're only working 2.9 hours. That's a little bit. Maybe we need to look at that research again. But it's something to consider. And again, stop working at the end of the day. So the key is to learn how to thrive in and out of the workplace with leadership coaching. Number one, because what we do outside of work will impact us when we're at work, when we're in the workplace, and vice versa. What happens to us in the workplace also impacts us in our personal lives. And so we want to have a balance between the two. And the balance is very important and something that we all should strive for. And this, of course, is trying to provide that leadership coaching for our managers as a part of the three-legged stool. Then again, I'm going to just go over these just to talk about what was discussed. I talked about building resilience to handle tough times. I talked about developing strategic management skills to contribute to the big picture for our managers, then empowering employees to be their best. And I know everyone wants to be their best because we're looking at our future and we want to be able to have opportunities for promotion and upward mobilities and more pay and more benefits and maybe even becoming an entrepreneur. And then we want to improve our focus to get work done without disruptions. If we have disruptions, we need to find a way to work through them. And they're always going to happen. We just don't know when. And we can look at a disruption as the previous pandemic. Now, that was about a 2-year disruption. Things still got done, but not at the level they were prior to the pandemic. So you're getting to see a little bit picture of what I'm talking about. And then lastly, learn how to thrive in and out of the workplace with leadership coaching. And that's very important for everyone involved. And I hope that this helps a little bit more, especially with our managers out there. We support our managers and would definitely support our employees and the leader with the title. But it's very important to provide some leadership coaching to our managers so that they will not be overwhelmed, that they will have the clear vision that goes out to the employees in the organization. And so the leader at the top, they can make those critical decisions in terms of what the vision and the direction of the company is in. And I'll just share a small story with you. I had mentioned in previous videos that I was competitive selected to work for a member of Congress in the Capitol Hill Fellowship Program, even though I was still in uniform at the Pentagon. I was still in the Air Force. But when I worked on Capitol Hill for about a year, I wore a suit every day. But I was a legislative assistant for a member of Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives. And it was very important that the leader at the top, who was the elected member of Congress, that he had staff members that supervised us all. And with that being said, all of us were looking for different taskings that came on. And I believe that one of the reasons why they brought me on is because I had a lot of experience, not only experience military-wise, but also corporately, because I had worked at Mobil Chemical and Mobil Oil Company for 2 years leading up to that. And as a result, I would find myself, I had put out constituent letters. I had to respond to constituents who had an issue that they wanted the member of Congress to resolve. And I think in that 1 year that I was in the office, or 10 months to 12 months, I probably had 1,200 letters that went to different constituents. And I worked on the House Armed Services Committee, and I had all types of military organizations that came in: veterans of foreign war, disabled American veterans, veterans of the Korean War, veterans of the Vietnam War, you name it. And I met all of them. And it was a joy to meet them. And then I had meetings in the members' district. So when we talk about leadership and we're looking at the manager, and so I had a manager when I was on the Hill, even though I had a manager at the Pentagon. At that time, I was more listening to what the manager on the Hill said because that's where I was assigned. And I would go to the members' district and we would go out, let's say, to the one of the law schools for the military. We would attend that. We would go to a university And there were different projects in the area for laboratories and different things such as that. And we would actually go out and meet these people. And then, of course, we work with other members of and it happened to be in the New England area of the United States. And so they had a New England caucus. And so I would meet with other people from New England, from Maine, from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, you name it. And then we would have sessions on Capitol Hill. And then we have to get different legislation passed. And this legislation, I would draft up some legislation, give it to the lawyer so they could put it in the legalese so it can go into law. And then I had to go out and I had to find a bipartisanship. So I'd get one from one party of the major parties and then support from another party. And so since it was military and veteran administration issues that were taking place, it wasn't very difficult to get support. And so what I'm saying that to say this, that I had a manager that managed not only me, but other people who work for the member of Congress. And it just lets you know that if they're sensitive to you and understanding that you also have a personal life at home, and you try to balance that in the office, which was Capitol Hill, then it happened for me. I know it can happen for you. But I just want to share this little bit extra with you just to let you know that most of the things that I talk about, I've experienced them. And I've had some very unique experience. And in the future, I'm going to talk about one assignment I had where I worked for a corporation. I was in uniform, but I wore a suit again. And so there are just a lot of supervisory and leadership aspects and experiences that we all go through. Look, you all know my name, Paul Lawrence Van. I thank all of you for viewing and liking and subscribing to my video channel, Leadership is Influence. And I also would love for you to learn more about me. You can just simply go to https://linktree/Paul Lawrence Van. And that way you will be able to learn more about me. You can also get me by email at info at paulvanspeaks.com. And send me an email if you have any questions. And I'll post some of this on my YouTube channel as well. And I really appreciate your support. And over the last week and a half, I've garnered a lot of support from a lot of you. And since you're helping and supporting me, I'd like to do the same thing in return. And as I mentioned, I do have a course titled How to Become a Leader of Influence. I also have a new book that's coming out as well, and I'll be talking more about that in the future. I also provide coaching for leadership, and of course, my foundational programs are my keynote addresses on the topic of leadership, and also I have leadership development workshops that I provide for corporations, associations, and nonprofits, you name it, different organizations, military as well, colleges and universities. So I would look forward to working with you all. And as you know, my time is up. And I thank you for yours. I'll see you on the next video that's coming out very soon. Have a great day. Again, my name is Paul Lawrence Van with Leadership is Influence. Have a great day and take good care. Goodbye.